First of all, thank you everyone for joining today's AMA with Covalent. I am Hunter, the community manager over here at Arbitrum. I'm joined with Daniel G, who is a software engineer here as well. And of course, there you go. We'll be speaking to Eric and Alilana from Covalent. How we doing, guys?
Great.
Awesome. So just for everyone who doesn't know, Covalent provides an API that allows devs to access on-chain data that allows for the creation of a lot of these really cool dApps that you as a user may see on Arbitrum. I figure that's kind of like a TLDR. Does that work? It's a little explainer.
Good pitch.
Beautiful. So before I know there's going to be a couple of things that we do today, including presentation and maybe answering some questions from the community. You guys want to give a little bit of a kind of background of what you guys do at Covalent, in general? Yeah.
So I'm Eric. I run ecosystem. So I work with a lot of L1 blockchains, a lot of the higher, like the larger dApps in the ecosystem, just to help them onboard developers, make it easy for people to build stuff or get data of what's going on chain. To just make it easier to know what's going on. So it's funny because lately a lot of people have been using us for NFT data. So people from different Arbitrum NFT communities have been logging in, using our API, exporting data on these NFT projects, and then tweeting about how successful they are. And then that's sort of why we said we should probably do something a little bit more formally so we could explain to people what Covalent is and all the possibilities. So I run ecosystems, so making sure programs like this happen, making sure people are building, people are executing, people who are coming in from the Arbitrum community have what they need to be successful, build products, build wallets, build apps, get data, and otherwise get stuff to market. Leilani is here. I'll let Leilani do her little pitch about what she does here.
Thank you. I'm Lei for short. I run product marketing for the API. I came on to Covalent about a year ago, was in marketing and comms, and then moved over to the product side. So now I participate in a lot of the hackathons that we sponsor and build out educational content and stuff like that. So I'm just interested in getting more people to build in general and like seeing all the different types of use cases that can be done, especially with the API being so versatile, like gaming, NFTs, DAOs, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, especially with all the hackathons that are going on now. It's funny. Daniel G and I were at one the other day, up in Boston, and it's really cool to kind of see all the different kind of things that these new I guess you could say people coming into Web3 or crypto are building. And obviously, all that stuff that they're building, whether it's NFTs or DeFi, you need some sort of way to access that data on chain, right? So Covalent's obviously a must.
Yeah, that's actually funny. We actually internally we're going to demo one of these things, but we're actually seeing what people are using. So we do a lot of hackathons. I think we probably do roughly 3 to 5 a month on average. There might actually be more to that there. I might be missing something, but we do a lot of hackathons. And some things we just started doing was saying, okay, well, let's call it what it is. A lot of people spend a lot of time building stuff at hackathons, but building a lot of the same things. So NFT market cap stuff, so like how to know who's like the trading volume of an NFT, NFT pages, right? Like just to know to make a profile page around your NFT, the trading volume, all of these things is just all it is historical data and needs a UI. So we actually started building some of these templates specifically for hackathons, just so people can spend less time building the basics and build more interesting things. So it's something we've been pretty proactively working on, I'd say, just because like if hackathons is how you get the bulk of your developers and we get a lot of our adoption that way, it just makes a lot more sense to arm them with stuff that's ready to roll right off the shelf. And that's actually, funny enough, the basis of this presentation that I'm going to run through. I actually did this presentation at another blockchain conference recently. And I went up on stage and they gave me a really funny time slot. And I said, all right, guys, basically, here's everything you need to know to build something fast, because if you're watching my talk, 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, 2 days into the hackathon, it means you're fucked. And you need some inspiration to get to market quickly. So it's like the whole point of what we try to do, or the set stuff is like, hey guys, we know you're busy, we know you want to build, and we know you want to spend time doing things you want to do, not grabbing data and not spending your time like grabbing data and figuring out how to build things. So what we did was we put together this workshop. It's really simple. It's like, hey, a lot of people are building a lot of the same things in the space, or not the same things, but there's a lot of overlap. So people who are building stuff in GameFi, we see, people building the same basic things over and over. NFT marketplaces, wallets, dashboards. So we said, all right, let's just simplify this and let's just give people exactly what they need so they can be successful, and how to build stuff using Covalent. So that's what we're going to cover today.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you want, we can, like you were saying, maybe start off with your presentation first, show the devs what they can do with, the power of Covalent. And from there, we can kind of look at some questions or maybe just kind of talk about some engineering geeky stuff.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I think I'm using also. So, can you guys see this?
All right. Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm going to make sure this actually works. How do we do this? Presentation, document, see, slideshow. That's what I want to do. All right.
Wow, nice.
Can you guys see this still?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to go over here is how to build 1 billion NFTs on Arbitrum. That's the presentation. We're done, guys. Go home. I'm joking.
That's it. Ending it off here.
We're done. Everybody can go home. We've all heard enough. We've all seen enough. So before I do that, I think it's useful that I give you guys some context on what is Covalent. So if there's in the world we live in, I think the slide needs to be updated. So there should be a layer 2, but that's a story for another time. Let's call Arbitrum a blockchain for simplicity's sake.
Yes.
In the world of crypto, there's the blockchains. So blockchains where data is stored, and that's the ledger that records everything. There's a node which allows you to read and write to the blockchain. So if you're running your own ETH node with your own Arbitrum node, you can read and write data, smart contract data to a blockchain. Then there's the data layer. So the data layer is the thing that takes all of this data and then we organize it in a way that makes it usable for a ton of applications. So stuff like on-chain forensics, charts and dashboards, consumer apps, arts and NFTs, balances and wallets. And to be honest, I'm still floored by this. There's a billion other use cases we haven't figured out yet. So this is the general crypto stack. You could argue that maybe there should be an Oracle, there could be other things, but there's only so much screen space to fit things in. So how does Covalent work? Well, we work with a bunch of different blockchains, and we built something called indexing nodes, where we take all of the on-chain data. So we have a direct replica of, I think, 30 blockchains, including Arbitrum. Direct replica of all of these blockchains. We put them in indexing nodes, and then we make them usable from one unified API. I actually saw a hater in the comments saying, oh, unified API means a point of failure, which could be construed that way, but we think of it more as one API, one place to get all your data. So instead of worrying about 20 different data products, if you're just looking for on-chain data, specifically on-chain, it's one API call. So we have something called Class A endpoints. So it's like NFTs, taxes, wallets, P&L. Think of if you know how Excel works, think of an Excel sheet with billions of rows and columns, and you're just pinging those columns and those rows really organically to find the data you're looking for. So Class B endpoints they're more DApp-specific data, so we build these in-house. I always say think of Class B and Class C. Like if you have your iPhone, you have all of your third-party apps, and then you have your Apple-made apps. We're basically making Apple native apps, and then there's third-party ones, which are going to be Class C endpoints, which we're rolling out over the next few months, so later in the year. So you'll be able to actually build your own endpoints on Covalent and ship those to the community. So we're really excited about that, because people have been bugging us about this for since I started. Since I started, this has been a contention point. So for 18 months, people have been asking, so we're really excited to roll this out. So types of data that people are building today, we're seeing people building gaming, so GameFi stats, DeFi taxes specifically is a big thing right now. DAO data, if you want to know who's voting, who's participating in your DAO. Trading data, so scoring liquidity pools, things like that. Dashboards, so just generally knowing what's going on your blockchain or in the community you're in, so to see voting, to see all sorts of different things. On-chain forensics, so wallet scoring, liquidity and farming data. I sort of touched on that with trading data. KYC, so knowing who is in your ecosystem, what they're doing. Some sort of predictive analytics where, if this happens to this wallet, then we are going to do a reaction. So some of this stuff is starting, a lot of governance data, a lot of general transactions So like whatever's going in and out of a wallet. And then NFTs. There's obviously a lot more. These are just the ones that were pretty much top of mind of people who I've been speaking to as I put this deck together. And I was trying to put one or two examples, and I realized, holy crap, there's a lot. Because it's just on-chain data. There's just lots of data, and that's what we do. So people say, you know, how big is Covalent? We say, well, there's 23,000 registered developers and over 1,069 projects. These are some people who use Covalent today. I don't even know, there's so many more that we don't even know. We're just at a conference and we run into people all the time and they say, oh, I built this with Covalent. Sometimes it's internal tools, sometimes it's public tools, sometimes they're NFT marketplaces. You could see here, there's really no consistency in the type of customers we have and the type of users of the product because it's on-chain data. So you're gonna have to get creative with what you can do with it. So what does data have to do with your NFTs? Well, let's reiterate, blockchain, node, Covalent, applications, users, you need data. NFT, if you want to know who bought and sold an NFT, you need data. If you want to know who owns an NFT, you need data. Blockchains produce all this data. You just need a way to quickly get it and store it. On top of this stuff, you need the node, you need the blockchain, you need the data, and then you need the art. I don't know why people always forget about the art when it comes to NFTs and building the tech, but the art is always secondary. Other things, just, you know, general knowledge based on for everybody who's in the audience should know. There's really 4 types of standards that you need to know to play in the NFT game. One is semi-fungible tokens. So I've got a token. I want to collateralize this and turn it into an NFT. I lock up, let's say, X amount of tokens. I now have an NFT. This is an ERC 1155. Think of it like breaking down a bar of gold and taking a bar of gold and turning it into a statue, right? But you could always convert that statue back to gold at a later point. And then ERC 721, this is the bulk of the NFTs in the space today. They're non-fungible. They're truly unique non-fungible tokens. This is the bulk of NFTs. ERC 20 tokens, which are fungible smart contract tokens. And I think this is important that most people don't realize is an EIP 2981, which is a standard for payments royalties to creators on transfers. So meaning each time somebody is paid a transfer or a royalty, this is what you should be looking for. This is not relevant to 90% of people. It's only relevant when you're hunting for royalty data. So I think this one is important. We can talk about data standards in a whole other call, but some people are adhering to this, other people are not. And you'll actually see the results. I'll be able to quantify the results as to why this is important. These things are important to keep in mind. So without further ado, the reason why everyone is here, we're going to show you how to build features from your favorite apps using Covalent. We realize, like I said, we realize people ask a lot of the same questions. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but we just want to give you what you want. So you're going to also realize halfway through this presentation that I'm just saying the same endpoints over and over and over and over again, and it's going to get kind of redundant if you're a developer. But it really is. We've really built like just a handful of endpoints that just work really well. So here are examples. So if you're doing Coolcats and you wanted to get this, like at the top, you would just go to Covalent, you'd log in, you'd get an API key. You would just hit API Covalent V1 and then get the NFT data all from this. Like this is all of the collection data, trading data that would happen. For this one, for the actual cat collections, you just go API Covalent V1 tokens address NFT. So you're just getting, and all this is NFT metadata. Number 4, if you wanted the actual descriptions of the NFTs, you're realizing this is just like, once again, this is the same thing as metadata. It's just represented in a different way. So all you're doing is adding the same endpoint. We're going to have Primer, which we're calling our Class C endpoints, which is coming soon. So it'll make this different. It'll make it easier. So this is how you just copy and paste this into our API docs. Once your API, you would be able to pull this data, and this is exactly what you would get back for it. So, display all NFTs, the last sold, the price. If you guys want screenshots of this, feel free to take them. I'm going to share the deck with Hunter after. You can just, spam builders in Discord with all of this stuff. I'll go for a bit and then I'll pause and I think we'll ask questions because I realize some people want to ask really good questions. And then, we'll dive right into the second half of the presentation. So, if you wanted to get, once again, I showed you before, this is just metadata. Number 2, this is centralized on OpenSea, so it's not that useful. But if you knew the current price of what it was selling on the market, we actually have an endpoint, so you can get tofu data on Arbitrum and on a couple other blockchains. So you just get this. price history in OpenSea. This is actually centralized within OpenSea. Most people don't realize it. This is not public on-chain data. This is just OpenSea showing whatever they want. But if it was, this is how you would get it. API tokens address. Yeah, once again, this is just more metadata. This is more metadata. So you keep seeing, like, you keep realizing a lot of this stuff is just more metadata. So 1, 3, and 5 are all just NFT metadata. It's the same endpoint, just being visualized a different way. Sorry, I lied. 4 is actually on-chain data. It's 6 and 9. So you want to see bids, this is centralized with OpenSea, it's not public. So this stuff we can't give you access to, but there are other NFT marketplaces that actually have this as public data. 8 is just looking at transactions, so token addresses, so seeing who actually bought and sold over the last period of time. And 7 is just, once again, it's just getting NFT metadata. So like I said, you're going to see a consistent recurring theme. If you're building a game, so let's say we're talking Axie, and you wanted to build an NFT marketplace, and you're like, hey, I need to put all of my data on one side so people can filter by and look at stuff. This is exactly how you do it. You'd get NFT metadata and then token ID, and then just filter for what you want to visualize. That's how easy this is. If you wanted to do 2, you'd do the same thing. You just say, like, hey, okay, I want to filter by price. I want to filter by all of these things. 2 and 3 sort of go together. Filter by unique ability, et cetera, et cetera. These tied it together. This is literally one endpoint to build this entire page to get the data. It's one endpoint used different ways, but it's still one endpoint to get all the data. So now let's say you're like, okay, NFTs are great for my game, NFTs are great for my marketplace, but what I really need is a place to store them, and you want to build your own wallet. This is how you build a wallet, guys. Guess what it is again? NFT balances, if it's true, this is how you get the NFTs in your wallet. This also works for token balances. So if you want to just get token balances in your wallet, it's the same thing. Instead of pulling NFT data, you're just pulling token data. So lots of wallets use this, like Rainbow, I don't remember. I know Frontier and a bunch of others use these exact features to get these. So if you wanted to get the address or see transfers, you could just see transfers. And these are literally all of the screens that are in the Coinbase wallet. There's only 4. There's really only 4 screens. These are the ones, except for the DApp browser, but we're not going to talk about that. So like I said, 2 endpoints build your entire thing. Next thing. All right, so now let's say you want to build NFT, you want to get lots of NFT market data. So you want to scrape all the NFT marketplaces. That's fine. We've actually built the use case to do that. So we built endpoints for NFT market data. So you can get aggregate data of an NFT collection across multiple marketplaces. This is the data you can get. You want to get aggregate sales specific market as a time series. So I want to know all of the small brains that were sold between this time and this time. That's exactly how you get it. I want to get this collection with these features. What was the time they were sold at, right? Once again, this is how you do it. I want to display the NFT sales of specific NFT collection token ID. So I want to know everything between these 4 marketplaces and how they sold over this period of time. This will give you price, collections, tokens, ID, block sign, dates, et cetera, et cetera. So this is just, once again, if you're pulling data from us, this is how to get these things with these API endpoints. So we can do more than NFTs, but for Hunter's sake, I know there's going to be a lot of questions. Maybe some have some burning hot questions that we can go back to now. I'm going to pause and ask him what he wants to do. Hunter, what do you want to do here?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look real quick. I think the question is, too, how much longer do we have for that? I do know we have a couple of other slides in there that talk about other protocols. Yeah. So
I think we got a few more slides. I'd say we got less than 15 minutes of slides left, like much less than 15.
Oh yeah, I think,
like I said, you sort of realize like the data is the same. Like I said, it's going to get really boring really fast. It's more like explaining what one endpoint can do.
Yeah, right. No, I think maybe what may be interesting to kind of throw in there, because I assume the rest of the slides may be more, obviously DeFi and other topics related, right? So maybe we can throw this in, because I know this is a really, really hot topic, especially with a lot of NFT projects coming to Arbitrum. I know we mentioned on the OpenSea slide, there was like a multi-chain kind of way to pull data there. Is there like, has that been a request that you guys have been seeing a lot? Like, somehow being able to pull data from both L1 and L2 and having helping projects migrate from L1 and L2? Does that apply in any way? Or
That's,
yeah.
no, that's an awesome question. That's a really, really, really good question. So what we see a lot of, and so one of our big value adds is that let's say you ship something on Polygon, or let's say you ship on ETH or Clayton or Moonbeam, whatever, it doesn't matter where you ship. And let's say you say, I want to go to Arbitrum. Because the difference between us and a lot of other projects is each Ethereum EVM chain, so Ethereum virtual machine chain, including Arbitrum, has something called a chain ID, right? So all you have to do if you're a developer, and let's say you built OpenSea or you built anything, and you don't want to rebuild your entire data stack each time you go to a new chain, with Covalent, you just change the chain ID. So you literally change that one number, and all of a sudden your application is getting multi-chain data. So this is a huge selling point of why we have a lot of projects. So like, it's funny, we tend to see projects come to us at two separate times. Our biggest inflow of projects are people at the very beginning of their journey where they're like, I need to get something to market fast. And then they come in and they use us. And then a lot of them come back when they're like, all right, I'm on 3 blockchains. I don't want to worry about data infrastructure anymore. I have zero interest in doing this, and I need to scale to 4 or 5 chains or do something else. So that's like where we see a lot. And I can tell you, actually, there are lots more people migrating to Arbitrum. It's been an increasing topic of conversation for us. So like, I know there's a lot of NFTs, and like a lot of NFT collections are saying, how do I have this NFT, but I want to launch my token on Arbitrum. I have my community dashboards. Arbitrum is way cheaper gas, right? So like people are actually seriously looking at doing this. And like, but how do I account for all these wallets? But you have your same wallet on ETH is your same wallet on Arbitrum. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's really just, if I were, again, like a protocol going from one chain to another chain, or, doing all these multi-chain gymnastic stuff. I might have to call it that from now on. Like having reliable data is definitely a really, really important thing to have, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's that. So the rest of the stuff is less NFTs, but it's more like, I'll just breeze through what some of the possibilities are. So I love Zapper. I think Zapper is awesome. I'm not hating on Zapper for a minute, but Zapper is a great product. So if you wanted to figure out how to build some features like Zapper, this is literally how you do it. So we've got, all of Zapper. The main page of Zapper is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 endpoints for this entire thing. It says 5 at the top. I should have read that. Yeah, there's only 5 endpoints to build all of Zapper. So this is kind of crazy. So this includes tokens. This includes looking at pools. This includes like figuring out what communities, communities you're part of, looking at what pools you're in, looking at the balance of your wallet, looking at your top NFTs that are actually in your wallet. So this is some of the things that are just like available right out of the box. And all these are just different. If you really think about it, all these are just different types of data visualization. If you wanted to build like a Uniswap, something like a Uniswap, all this is, once again, this is 3 separate endpoints. It seems daunting, but you're just pinging three separate API endpoints to get the data you're looking for. So like, what is the volume? What is the TVL? What are the top pools? And then what is the price change? That's literally all you're doing. If you wanted to build a CoinGecko or something like this for, to look at all the DEXs or all the DeFi or even all the NFTs, this is pretty much how you do it. This is, once again, just 3 separate API endpoints to get all of this data. Visits, we can't help you with this. We don't know their web traffic. It's a lot. It's a lot of web traffic, but we don't know that. And then we don't know the market. We don't know the market share because we're not looking at cross DEXs, but somebody else could do this. So if you wanted to get any of this data, this is literally how you would get it from us. You just ping it, get volume data, pool data, the count of tokens, the display of the pools on a specific DEX, and most of the traded pairs on a specific DEX if you wanted, so this right here. So all the stuff is out of the box, readily available. If you said, okay, I want to score liquidity pools, this is pool 24-hour volume liquidity, how you do this on something like a Liquidity Vision, awesome product, great project. Execution is everything here. I don't think anybody here is going to go rebuild these things, but there's some features that are always figuring out like, how do I build that? And this is literally how you build some of these things. So if you want to build API endpoints for the VR ratio, the impermanent loss, the features, all of these things, this is how you get it. It's just ping us for the data, ping these API endpoints for the data, and it'll come to you very quickly. You have a DAO, you're running your DAO, you want to know who's actually participating, who's voting, what's happening to the treasury. If you're using DeepDAO, I strongly advise it. They're great. A lot of their data comes from us. these are how to build some of their neatest features, and they're more DAO, specific to the individual DAO. So if you wanted to build DAO treasury tools, literally 3 separate endpoints, right? Because all you're really doing for DAO treasury is pulling the wallet balance and seeing the assets that are in it. If you want to see the org, so the total threshold of the different assets, you're really just scoring a handful of treasury wallets and seeing, who has what the sizes of the contents of each wallet are, then averaging it out. Proposals, this is all on-chain activity. Who's actually signing? Who's actually voting? Who's actually getting involved? Governance, sort of the same thing. And then, seeing more from what the size of the treasury is and what people are actually doing in these different things. So, there's more there. There's like who's involved in the last 24 hours, the top treasury tokens, governance holders, so who is actually holding the governance tokens, not staking or participating, active members, the number of proposals, live votes, and anything that's on-chain, that's open, anything on-chain, we definitely have the data for. All of this said, whether you're in DAOs, you're in NFTs, and whatever you're doing, this is where it gets unfun, but the fun goes away.
Oh boy.
But you got to do your taxes. This slide has been very topical as of late. So if you are, I would say everywhere, but for most jurisdictions, you got to pay your taxes at the end of the day. So because we have a replica of all on-chain data, if you want to go and grab data from a specific if you want to go and grab data from Covalent, it's actually pretty straightforward to do. You just pull your wallet, look at everything that's gone in and out of your wallet, and then see what that is pegged to a US dollar value. So we actually have endpoints to do all of this. If you don't want to use us or do it yourself and build your own accounting software, I totally get it. You can use something like Rotkey. Most of the data comes from us. And this is literally what you would get, like how much you deposited, how much you earned, what your effective savings rate was for your projects, what DeFi protocols you were in, the contract addresses, and all of this stuff. So everything here comes from us. So that being said, we've talked a lot about stuff, but now we're going to bring it back to NFT land. So we actually built this thing. So it's an NFT dashboard. You can change the collections, you can change the chain ID, you can change their UI parameters, and it's ready to roll. I'm going to show you what it actually looks like. So an example, and this is what I was saying before, is remember I said EIP, some of the stuff is available, some of the stuff is not. Depending on how you write your smart contracts, data is going to be more available and easier to organize than others. So this is actually a list, this is a market cap of NFT collections on Arbitrum right now. So this one, I'm sorry, I can't pull it up. This is just bad timing that this wasn't working for this call. Some of the stuff is here, but you want to see small bodies, you want to see small brain land, small car, small green pets, Battlefly, et cetera, et cetera. These are the actual market caps. These are the 24-hour volume. These are the transactions. These are the number of wallets that actually hold it. So if you want to pull up Battlefly, let's just check this out. It's taking a second. Yeah, so you can see this is the contract address. This is the ticker symbol. This is the 24-hour volume, the amount that's sold. These are other ones in the collection that's just pulling randomly. This should be 1 month. Let's look at 1 month data. So this is the 1 month data. So all of this stuff, everything I'm showing you is 100% open source. You can go, you're more than welcome to fork this. You're more than welcome to use this. We want people to use this stuff, and we want to save you time to go build stuff and spend less time building and spend more time shipping. So yeah, you can go back to Arbitrum. This also works on other chains, which we're not going to talk about on this call. But yeah, if you wanted to build an NFT market cap, see what's going on, or build something, all the data comes from us, and it's really easy. Sign up, get an API key, and it works out of the box. So it's an NFT dashboard. All you do is change the collection address. You can even filter, sort of like I showed you this, you could filter just by collection if you wanted to get all of this data. Yeah, there you go. This is a bit more interesting. You can see the council, you can see everything else.
Really cool, by the way.
Pardon me?
Yes, it's really cool that you can pretty much just, in a way, just kind of grab all this data, make a nice front end, and then you're done.
Yeah, that's what a lot of, I'm growing increasingly convinced this is what a lot of communities actually want. Because people are like, I just want, imagine going to, the small brains community and just seeing this dashboard and actually being able to know in real time, opposed to poking around OpenSea and, well, it's not an OpenSea, but you know what I mean, to going back to all these NFT marketplaces and trying to figure out where it is. I'm convinced every NFT marketplace should have this. Or not every NFT marketplace, every NFT collection should have this so everyone can actually see what's going on. I think this might be an issue. It says if the 24-hour volume is 3 million, then I don't think it's one person who's been buying them, but I've seen stranger things. But yeah, this is just an example. So you actually see the price action around all of this stuff. So I think Yeah, there's even hover states. So this is how much is burnt. Gas. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, this is pretty cool. So this is it. Change the chain ID, change the UI parameters, do whatever you want, change your UI, and then it's ready to roll. If you have your phone out and you want to fork this and you don't want to forget, like I said, QR code it. You know how this works. The link is in the bottom. I'm going to shoot Hunter the deck over after. If you want to read more, we've actually written a pretty comprehensive blog post about APIs and how to drill down into NFT markets. So like how to get, individual marketplace data, multi-marketplace data, multi-collection data, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of it was already covered here. How do you sign up? To do all this, you just get an API key. This is it. It's 100% free. Covalent costs you exactly $0.0000. That's going to change at some point in the future. But for now, this is how it works. That's it. Let's party. And this is me. This is Eric. So yeah, that's everything.
Wow, look at that. I love that last slide right there. Let's party.
That's one of my cat. We love the cats.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's definitely really cool to see what you could do with just being able to pull data from there. So if you don't mind me asking, then how does Covalent get its revenue in a way? I mean, if it's kind of free to use currently.
So that's a really good question. So I'll show this last, but for now what we've done is it's the blockchains who are paying. So blockchains come to us and they say, hey guys, you've got a lot of developers. We know people are using you. You do things like this for our community. We want to build this out. So we will pay the bill to subsidize the cost, so it's free for developers. That's what we've done. We're also building a decentralized network, which is not really the topic of this call, but I added one slide in just to explain it. So the way I compare Covalent, this is not the best metaphor, but it's the best I can come up with without getting super complicated, is we're basically building the DoorDash of data. So when I say that, you open DoorDash or you open Uber Eats, and you give it money and it then pings a bunch of restaurants and then somebody delivers you data. With Covalent, you give the Covalent network money, let's say USDC, and then a bunch of our applications or analysts will give it USDC, and then it will go and it will ping a bunch of validators. So validators are like restaurants, and then they'll just send out the data that the app is looking for. And instead of paying them in USD in dollars and the Covalent taking a cut, all of the revenue goes to the validators. So, for DoorDash customers, Covalent apps. DoorDash is the DoorDash app. For Covalent, it's like the API. DoorDash, they have restaurant suppliers. For us, the blockchains are technically the suppliers of the data. So DoorDash sells dishes. We sell different types of data. So if it's NFT data, if it's DeFi data, wallet data, whatever it is. Then there's the delivery person. There's the delivery person / the restaurant. That's more like the validator who's just organizing the data and sending it out. And the difference, like I said, is DoorDash keeps the percentage of the revenue in USD, and the validator keeps 100% of the revenue in CQT. So we're launching staking soon. This is all coming. This is coming. This is, like I said, it's a longer presentation than this one, and for different.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, I think, again, like stuff like this is very valuable, especially, I mean, I think, I'm not sure how many people on the call currently are users / devs, but like, I'm sure as a user, like a lot of this may seem like hieroglyphics, but this is essentially how you're able to use your dApps, like literally like on a daily basis,
Yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. This is it. This is like what people do, and then it's like, yeah, our bet with the network is like, and this is where Arbitrum comes in, is at some point where there's going to be different people running decentralized Arbitrum data. So like somebody said earlier on, I said that there was a hater in the comments previous to the starting, said one unified API, one point of failure, and I think you sort of have to acknowledge that to a certain point and say, yeah, I mean, if we die, that's a big problem. But if we decentralize ourselves and there's different replicas all running bespoke blockchain data, then that's going to be easy. So it's not like we have to even exist or even work here. There's already lineups of validators who want to run infrastructure for us, who want their own replica. Because one, it's good to have backups of data. Two, we have users, we have traction, we have all those fun, happy things.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you know what? You can't pay attention to the haters. I mean, you gotta give them a little light sometimes, but can't pay too much attention to them.
Great. I love haters because haters make you better. Haters make you smarter. Haters make you work harder, and haters make you have to prove them wrong. I think haters are great. I think everybody needs it. I think everybody needs it because then it forces you to just like have to work a bit harder and like think a bit deeper. I'm all for it. I'm all for, you know, harsh criticism.
There you go. Yeah, criticism for sure. So then maybe we could also even jump into uh, more of the. I'm not sure how deep we want to get into into some of more of the tech stuff. Like for example, I'd be really interested just to hear more about maybe like the pros, maybe some of the challenges you guys had when kind of working with the Arbitrum chain versus like any other chain,
None.
if possible. There you go.
None. Like that's like there's no horror story. Like there's that's the thing here is like I'd say this to a lot of people. People would say, "What's the best tech?" I said, "Arbitrum is like," and I don't even have to BS. Like I'm being honest. Like it's probably one of the better built blockchains out there. There's no problems. There's no issues. Everything literally worked day one. The moment we indexed it, people were using it. I have nothing negative to say. Like I have absolutely no negative criticism. Like everything worked as we were promised it was going to work. It's that's what's kind of amazing. Is in this space, we work with like 30 blockchains, and a lot of times you run into issues and bugs and gotchas. This was that one. I think we did it in like 2 days, and it was just done, and we never talked about it. Which is probably like part of the downside is it was so easy that we didn't talk to the Arbitrum guys, the Arbitrum community for so long because it just worked so well. Right? Like there's just giant gaps. You can ask AJ about this. There are giant gaps, like months we just knew we never connected, despite the fact that we were onboarding people and doing stuff. But it's great, man. Arbitrum's awesome.
I'm sure Daniel G is very happy to hear that.
Honest truth. Like it was like everybody has problems except you guys. Like it's really strange. It's really strange that nobody, like nothing. There's been I think now we were talking internally that there's a problem with one of the nodes, but I think it might even be our node. That's just like these are hiccups that happen to everybody, right? Like it's not an Arbitrum specific thing. It's more like that's an ETH problem or that's a this problem. Like, but there's nothing in terms of the quality. Like it hasn't been down. Nothing bad has ever happened. There've been like the patches have been consistent. It's like it actually works, which I always think is amazing. Like surprisingly amazing. It's like underrated. I think there's this like, it's just my opinion, but I think they're like, when you work in dApps and stuff, like you expect things to work all the time. When you're in infrastructure, like if you work in infrastructure and if something works 95% of the time in crypto, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's so horrible. 95% of the time. Yeah, yeah. I guess in a way that the bar, yeah, I guess in a way the bar is a tiny bit low. I feel like as time has gone on, I feel like the bar has been kind of lower and lower in a way, and that that's obviously no shot at anything or anybody, but in a way it's like I think I remember like people used to kind of tout like Ethereum having like 99.99% uptime or something like that, and I feel like that's going lower and lower as time goes on for like any other chain. I mean.
No, but I also think, to everyone's credit, it's like everything is new. We're going to run into problems, right? Like everybody has issues. Like, it's like, I think we all, it's funny because like I was saying this the other day to somebody, I said, I don't think any of us saw crypto going where it was going to go as fast as it did. Like, it was like, I remember going to an ETH conference in 2019, and 2019 isn't that long ago, right? And it was the most boring, uninteresting thing, and because there was nothing happening. It was like end of 2018. And I remember being there, like, you're talking to all the same people. Nothing is going on, nothing innovative, and we're all like, well, one day this will pick back up. And then it seemed like overnight, everything just skyrocketed, right? And so, like, everybody has problems, which is, and in some cases, they're really good problems. And I think that's just par for the course when building in the space. Like, just expect problems in a good way. As long as you're building, right? If you're building good stuff and people are using it, then you're 100% going to run into problems. There'll be good problems, but there'll still be problems. You just got to give people credit when that stuff happens.
No, yeah, 100%. I think in general then, maybe another topic we kind of hit on that's also relevant because I know we touched on NFTs there on the presentation as well as DeFi. But what about like, for example, like a lot of the not cross chain, but like the GameFi dApps, right? That the ones that include NFT and DeFi. Obviously, I'm sure that it's just kind of pulling in from like both of those types of data sources. But like, is there like, have you been seeing a lot more of that kind of take place on Arbitrum specifically, or is it kind of just? And then yeah, Axie is probably like the best one.
Axie is good.
Yeah.
we work with Ronin. So Ronin's actually,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, that's the Ronin chain. You probably heard about the big hack a couple weeks ago, but we work with them. And what I find interesting about GameFi, and I think GameFi does something a little bit different than others don't do as DeFi does well, but I don't think it's as noticeable in NFTs. This is my perception. Maybe I'm wrong here. I think that because in gaming, the gaming world like has a lot of data. It has leaderboards, it has scoreboards, it has tons of things, right? And with crypto, instead of it be you playing Call of Duty or playing FIFA or whatever you're playing, and you have your internal FIFA leaderboard and data and charts about how your players are doing and all that stuff. That's all centralized, right? And so with crypto, all this stuff is on chain. So what I find really funny about GameFi is how much the data is the marketing. Like this is my opinion, but I'm not wowed with any of the games that exist today. Some of them are pretty cool. But I won't, we're not at like a AAA level by any means.
Right.
But what I find interesting is because all of this data is open and it's like, this is how many players were active yesterday, this is how many people actually signed up, this is how much people earned, and how much people made by playing GameFi or by doing this stuff. Like, that's all public data. And so when you open that up, it's like you're opening Pandora's box of what's actually possible, and it gives you more insight to how much these game developers or game studios might actually be making. And it's even more interesting to see how much revenue people are making from actually playing these games. I think the other thing is, and like back to my point that I just sort of alluded to, was people use us to build data, and then they use the data as the marketing to tell people how their game is kicking ass. I find it kind of like we wrote this ebook about Krabata, and I'm not going to show Krabata, but like we had all of their data, and they didn't even know that we had it. And we built an ebook, and then they just freaked out because we had more data on them than they had on themselves, because we just knew how to get, we know how to get data, right? So we did that, and then that's been some of their best marketing, is just cherry picking what we wrote and like the data in there. And that community, I think, has grown like 3x just because all the facts and all the things we pulled about them just like scream traction. So I think what you're seeing more, and the Axie community is really good at this. And I know some people in the Axie community, and some fan sites, like Axie fan sites, they use us for their data. And what the guys will do is they'll like sit around and they'll like hunt around for like how many users, what were the rewards paid out yesterday, how many NFTs that were earned were sold, and how many were staked or whatever it is. And they'll hunt around looking for these unique nuggets of data, and then that's the tweet storm that goes on for like 2 weeks. And how you build your hardcore loyal following is like by cherry picking some of these amazing stats. And a lot of the times the stats speak for themselves anyways, but it's just spending the time to actually do that and knowing what to look for. So data is marketing for a lot of these games. I'm more and more convinced of it the more I see
it. Daniel, did you want to say something there?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Cool. Yeah. First of all, we love to hear the kind words about the experience of working with Arbitrum. That's great to hear. I'm curious if you've done any work or have started sort of thinking about doing work of indexing bridge data. The sort of explosion of bridge applications is something we've kind of been probably the type of app we've been tracking most closely, and it just occurs to me that with bridging apps, given that by their nature they're cross-chain, there could be some interesting stuff to do there as a data providing service.
So the answer is yes, but yet we have the data. So a lot of the time, and this is where it's that double-edged sword, is that people say, do you have the data? The answer is 100% of the time, yes, right? So the question is, have we visualized it, or have we spent any time to expose it by any means? And the answer there is always no. But sometimes if you know what you're doing, you can build it. So I didn't know this until recently. I was told this just recently, but like the Wormhole team, all of their internal EVM data comes from us. I didn't know this. They told me. And I was sort of surprised because I was going to go pitch them. I'm like, hey, we should work together on something. And they said, we already do. I said, oh, well, that's nice to know. Why don't you tell anybody? And they said, your product works. We don't have to tell anybody. So I said, oh, well, that's a double-edged sword. So that it's stuff like that. There are people. I haven't seen anybody build dedicated bridge products using our data. I think we're discussing a way this is more when we roll out Class C endpoints. So like I said, you'll be able to build your own endpoints. I know a couple of bridges have asked us to build out endpoints. It's just a question of resourcing and time. And so I think that's something we're going to open up. So, if you want to see assets that are going across from ETH to Arbitrum, or Arbitrum to, let's say, Avalanche, right, through, I don't know, through Nomad or one of these bridges, you'll be able to track that pretty easily. So I think we will probably build that out or leave it up to the community to build that out. But the data is 100% there, and I've seen people build products internally already using Covalent. I think the Axelar team also has built something. I'm not sure. They told me they did. I don't know if it's public or intern, but they've definitely built something.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely in terms of like project ideas or hackathon ideas like you were talking about earlier. There's fun stuff to do there because trying to sort of make sense of bridge data without a service like Covalent always gets kind of crazy because there's like two chains to keep track of and data formats across them and things like that. So yeah.
That's it. I could even we should probably that's probably a good workshop idea. If you guys wanted to do a hackathon, if Arbitrum wanted to do a hackathon, we're happy to do that. That's a pretty good hackathon idea actually. Because the thing about these bridges is, once again, Covalent's a replica of smart contract data. All it is you're looking for a mint contract, and then you're just looking for the asset, right? And then you have to just figure out, and you sort of need the blockchain to tell you from the other side, or you need to figure out who owns that contract. They need to figure out from the other side who owns that contract. So I don't think it's that, it seems like it's work to build, but as long as you have all of the contract addresses, you should be able to build it pretty easily. That's all you're really hunting for, is the contract addresses.
Yeah.
So which is why I think with Wormhole, why they were able to build their internal analytics using us, was they already know all their own internal smart contract addresses, right? So it's just get balances and just see what's going on and what's happening to those wallets, or what's crossing that bridge, or what's being generated through the smart contract address.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think oh, I think I'm hearing an echo there. I think we had someone in the chat talking about decentralizing Covalent as well. I know you mentioned it earlier, but did you want to go maybe a little more deeper into that, like the decentralizing Covalent and kind of pretty much, I guess, in a way, like your roadmap?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I wish I added more slides, because generally when I do these, people just want to build cool stuff. People don't usually ask about the network, so I don't have that. I apologize. This is the only slide I have.
It's fine.
So
yeah.
I'll sort of go to a high level. And I'll give you a bit of a backstory. So when we started this, we realized, okay, we have, Ethereum is the only blockchain. There will never be any others. Let's just build a direct replica of all Ethereum data. Not really a big problem. Not a technical challenge. We did it. We built the API. It worked. It scaled. There was literally no issue. And we got traction. We found product market fit. All these things. Then what happened? This is where it got kind of crazy. Was we realized the future is multi-chain, and they said, well, these blockchains, these faster blockchains, just produce limitless amounts of data. And there's going to be a lot of it. So we said, okay, let's just be honest that we are never going to be able to support all of this, and we should probably just, shard the backend, so decentralize our entire database. So that was the logical step. So we said, this is what we've got to do. There's no other way to do it. We'll never scale. We'll never be able to warehouse these and all these blockchains. Because I think about a year and a half ago, we were all saying, it's not going to be one blockchain. It's not going to be two blockchains. There'll be multi-purpose blockchains like Arbitrum, but then there'll be special purpose blockchains. Like you're seeing with Ronin already, which is blockchain just for its own game. And we were conscious of this pretty early on. And so, because also seeing the gas explode on ETH, you're this is going to happen on other chains too.
Right.
So we were pretty aware of that, and we said, okay, well, let's just figure out how to do this. And what we've done is we've spent the last, I'd say, year and a half, one, building up the developer demands, building features out for developers, and then two is getting ready to decentralize the backend. So we're actually going to be launching staking fairly soon, where you lock up your CQT, you delegate to a validator, and then you're going to be able to earn query rewards. So, like I said, all of these apps, they're all doing API calls, and at some point, API calls translates into amount of CQT, and that CQT is going to be paid out to the validators. So validators are people already running infrastructure. So the difference between us and a Polygon or a Solana or an Arbitrum or anybody else is that when you are running Covalent infrastructure, you are not actually running Covalent infrastructure. You're basically adding a patch on the infrastructure you're already running, right? Because we're not bespoke, unique infrastructure. We just take Arbitrum data and organize it and make it super clean and super easy. That's what we do. We make it super easy. And so if you're running Covalent infrastructure, you're running Covalent/Arbitrum infrastructure, what you're really doing is instead of us fulfilling all the data and fulfilling all the API requests, it's actually going to be people, validators running infrastructure are going to be filling these requests on the developer's behalf. So we're just like the intermediary of the API that people are using, and we're just trying to make this better and better and better and better and better and better and better as time goes on. And so when I said we have something called Class C endpoints, how this is going to work is like right now, this is sort of what's actually missing from here is developers come, they're going to put the USDC in a smart contract. It's going to be a market buy from USDC to CQT. It's going to be paid out to validators. And then what's going to happen somewhere in between this is like, if you're building your own endpoints on Covalent, you're going to get a percentage of that. So that's going to be paid to you also. So that's what's coming. It's been a long time, and we've been shipping and not in a huge rush. You were in a rush to launch the network, but the first phase is coming now. So the first data we're decentralizing is Ethereum, and then we're going to go, talk to all of our blockchain partners and start decentralizing their data as well. So, we'll probably do it with Arbitrum. We'll do it with most people, with everybody who wants it, right? Everybody who thinks this is, everybody who's down. And I think we're seeing a lot of the communities are very, very, very down to do this because they think having multiple direct replicas of their own data is like, one, it's good from a business perspective. It's sort of like, you always want a spare key to your house. Two, it's a value add for anybody running that infrastructure. And three, it comes back to that argument that the hater said about, one API, one point of failure. If there's multiple backups of the data, then it's not one point of failure anymore, right? So it just creates redundancy. So that's what we're doing with the network. I will have sexier slides aside from my Taco Bell DoorDash slides.
No, it's no problem at all. I mean, it's really cool because I would have never. Like the whole one of the whole things about crypto is having everything be decentralized, right? Like as you were saying earlier, like no central point of failure. And to me, it's like I think people truly forget like all the different types of dependencies that all these dApps or even like projects have within crypto. Even myself, I didn't even think about like, oh, Covalent is decentralizing. I'm like, isn't it just an API? But I'm like, yeah, of course, it has to decentralize to a certain extent. Like everything, in a way, has a path to decentralization. So it's really cool seeing that you guys are really taking a step forward on that.
Yeah, no, man, it's like it's been a slog. Like I would, anybody building something crazy, or like wanting to build infrastructure is like anybody on the Arbitrum team knows this. Infrastructure is really hard. It is less forgiving. The mistakes that you make are real. I get that it's not DeFi, so you're not locking up lots of people's money, but like it's a slog. Like we have over 60 employees here, sitting in this. Maybe not here today, but work for Covalent. There's over 60 full-time people, right? So it's like these things aren't easy and they're not fast. And like to build a product. Like we're building a product and building a network at the same time. It's like you're doing twice as much work. You're technically running two companies, two developer teams, two everything, right? So it's definitely been, I think, twice as much work. It's twice as exciting, but it's also, it's twice as many hats you have to wear. So I think, we've come a long way, but yeah, like and in regards to the actual data, I think like for us, it was this decision early on where we sort of said, let's look at Google. Google is just, a ton of centralized data, right? And it's not, nobody really benefits unless you're holding Google stock or work for Google or done some sort of Google spin out. And we just said, well, if crypto is public data, then it should be cheap and open and accessible, and that should be the ultimate goal at the end of the day. So that's really the game. Like the game is like, how do we make all of this open and accessible for anybody and everybody and as cheap as humanly possible, right? While getting the validators and getting people running the infrastructure paid. So we've spent a lot of time doing this. Like I'm pretty excited to see it launch. It's like launch staking. The network's been live forever, but like staking itself is finally launching.
Awesome. Yeah. No. Of course. I think I think for the most part we actually literally just have hit about an hour, which is nuts. I don't know if you want to start maybe wrapping things up here. Maybe you guys can kind of give like maybe any call to actions to any devs who would be interested in using Covalent or users who want to join the community.
Yeah, guys. Number one thing, just sign up here. Here's the QR code. Here's the QR code. Like, sign up. This is the link. Use it. Build something. Like, if you want this, I'll go back to this slide one more time. If you already know what you're building and it's in the NFT space, this is exactly how to get the dashboard I showed. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, like the other thing I want to say is like the NFT traction Arbitrum. Like we see lots of blockchains and we see lots of blockchain data, but Arbitrum actually, this is one of the super exciting things, actually has real traction and it is growing month over month. So these are the real exciting things why I get stoked to come on these calls, because it's not like our vision is one day. It's like this is no vision. Like it's here. Like we're doing this. Like it's actually happening. So I'm really excited about that. Just be part of the Arbitrum growth story as well. So yeah, these are my 2 calls to action. If you want to do this, sign up, do this, fork this, or here's some other things. There's API docs, there's Discord, Telegram. I don't know why Reddit isn't here. I don't know if we ever checked. I've never even looked at our Reddit, to be honest. And this is
Reddit is a great relic of the past.
Yeah, it might be there. Like there might be a super active Reddit that I'm just not aware exists.
Well, no, listen, again, we really appreciate you as well. Again, I think the great part about crypto is that whenever one of us does really good, it's beneficial for all the parties, whether it's dApps in our ecosystem, you guys, or us. So, I'm happy to have this call today with you guys. And just in case for anyone who did join in late, we'll be making sure to put up a recording of it back on YouTube. You can feel free to check that out on our Discord at when we end up posting it. But
thank you, Hunter. Thank you so much, Arbitrum folks. It's a pleasure. DM me if you need anything. DM Leilani if I don't respond. She's solid. She's always around. But thank you so much for the time, guys.
Yep.
Thank you.
Later, guys.
Thank you, Leilani, Eric. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Bye.